In this week's feature segment, food deserts. Some dismiss the idea outright, but the location and number of grocery stores are changing. Food sales continue to gravitate to larger, fewer chain stores as neighborhood operations go out of business. This forces people to travel further to buy food. Those who can't afford the transportation are caught in a bind. Food deserts can occur in urban and rural settings. Market to Market's Clay Masters reports on some solutions being tried to blunt the effects of food deserts.
It's something a lot of Americans take for granted. Healthy and nutritious food, easily accessible at a nearby grocery store. But in urban and rural parts of the United States, many Americans live in what's been coined a food desert. Simply put, a food desert is a low-income census tract where a substantial number of residents lack easy access to a grocery store. First Lady Michelle Obama estimates that 23.5 million Americans live in a food desert. And you can find these deserts in both urban and rural areas, though they differ. Consider North Omaha. Parts of this community in Nebraska's largest city have some of the highest levels of poverty in the U.S., particularly among African Americans. Nebraska State Senator Brenda Council's district is in North Omaha.
Many urban communities, the retail industry will look at the number of rooftops and what the median income is, and those will be the determining factors in whether or not they'll invest the kind of capital that's required to be invested in a full-service grocery store.
This is one of those neighborhoods where you won't find a large grocery store. J&D grocery owner David Adams has lived his whole life in this North Omaha neighborhood. He's tried to keep healthy options in his aisles, but says spoilage caused him to throw away a lot of the product.
Well, the neighborhood here, a lot of my customers are walk-in customers, all from the neighborhood here. It wasn't a grocery store way back in the early 30s, so it has always been some type of grocery store here. I think through the years, obviously, it became more of a convenience store. When I bought it, I wanted to turn it back into a grocery store. So in doing that, you know, we're adding the meats and the produce and everything else besides just your chips and your beer. Trying to keep that going throughout the years has been tough.
In 2009, with a grant from the Centers for Disease Control, the Douglas County Health Department identified neighborhoods in North Omaha that had the highest combination of high-risk health factors. It then zeroed in on neighborhoods where citizens had to travel over 1 mile to find healthy food options. Finally, it found ways to help bring the healthy food to these neighborhoods.
These grocery stores are continuing to use the distribution system that they've had. So if they're using a wholesaler, they're continuing to use that wholesaler. What we're trying to help them do is figure out what they have in their store and how to offer some different products. In most cases, they can get those products from their wholesaler. The problem has been that there's been no demand for them, so that it's not fit within their business model.
University of Nebraska Extension has come in to provide samples of fresh food options offered in these stores to create a demand.
It's pretty good.
Thank you very much.
All right.
82% of Americans located in a food desert live in urban areas, but the problem is just as severe in rural communities. Around 130 people live in the small town of Cody, Nebraska. Tucked in the northern sandhills of the state, residents here have to drive 40 miles to get to the nearest grocery store.
We haven't had a grocery store for 13 years or something even more than that.
Teachers at the high school saw a need for the store and an opportunity to integrate hands-on curriculum in the classroom. So the school applied and was awarded 2 USDA grants in 2009. One $75,000 grant will house an entrepreneurship incubator within the school and ultimately establish a grocery store. Another $95,000 grant will fund the actual building, which will be built out of straw bales to make it energy efficient.
And basically the building's going to sit right here. Like I said, it's 0.96 acres is what we've got leased from the Game and Parks. And it's a 99-year lease.
Well, we've had people say if grocery stores couldn't work before, why would this work now? And the bottom line is we don't have to support a family. We formed a nonprofit and funds will go into that, and then the students will decide what to do with those funds. So anything that profits above and beyond what we need to make the business run will be funneled back into the community via the students' decisions.
These two communities are seeking solutions to combat the problem. The USDA recently introduced an online food desert locator, and Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack says the locator will help identify communities where intervention can help make healthy, affordable food more readily available.
They just decided to come together as individuals and say, we're going to do something about making fresh foods available in our community.
Senator Brenda Council of North Omaha introduced a food desert bill in the Nebraska legislature last session. The measure would have authorized $150,000 each of the next 2 years to increase access to healthy foods in food deserts. But Nebraska Governor Dave Heineman vetoed the bill, saying he supports the goal, but the bill duplicates other federal programs. Despite having passed by a healthy margin, after the governor vetoed the bill, support dropped off and an override was unsuccessful.
And that student board member is working to organize what we look at as the next generation of food system leaders within Iowa. I think when we look at the subject of food deserts, it's very quick to think it's a political problem or it's a big ag, small ag problem, and it's really not. The solution to food deserts has to include looking at the entire food system. And what we do as a food systems council is we make sure that there's a place for everyone at the table, that there's an opportunity for big ag to sit next to small organic producers, to sit next to the large distributing company, to sit next to the manager of the grocery co-op. So that by sitting next to each other, they can't point the fingers at each other for blame, but they have to work together for solutions. They have to work together for commonality.
So what you think?
It's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And it's healthy too.
For Market to Market, I'm Clay Master.
You can watch this story again on our Farm Week website. That's farmweek.msucares.com. You'll also find Farm Week stories on YouTube and Facebook. We'll also have a link to the Market to Market website where you can see the story as well as read the script. That's farmweek.msucares.com.